I gotta be honest, I don't even know what to say anymore when it comes to this trade war. You got reciprocal tariffs that are on top of the retaliatory tariffs, and it keeps evolving from one thing to the next. And is it really going to happen? Is it not going to happen? It's worse than we thought. It's not as bad as we thought. And then everything just kind of disappears, but it's still ongoing. It's evolving every single day. It's an ecosystem. It's unnecessary. And I feel like my heart rate goes up day to day when it really shouldn't. Like it's getting out of control. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Today, we are taking a look at Doug Ford. Doug Ford, who has threatened to cut off the power to America. 1.5 million homes. That'd probably be over 2 to 3 million individuals in America. In the grand scheme of how many people live in America, it's not that much, but it's still absolutely disgusting to do. And I got criticized, as you may or may not be aware, by the media and by politicians in Canada over the past couple of weeks for bringing this to their attention. In a bit of a different way, I did add a couple other pieces to that statement, but the whole purpose of my posts around this was it's a bit of an act of war. It's a gray area. I can admit that. But if you ask Google, if you ask Grok, right, it'll tell you that it can be perceived as an act of war to cut off power to civilians, to another country. And our new prime minister agrees. Kind of crazy. Mark Carney, Prime Minister Lord Sir Carney, says it's been more than 2 days that the supply of electricity to Gaza has been shut off. It must resume. Essentials, including food, electricity, and medical supplies, should never be used as political tools. Huh? Canada must work with our allies to stand up for international law to promote sustainable peace and security in the Middle East and to support full access to humanitarian aid for Palestinian families. As this work continues, both parties must work towards the return of all hostages and the completion of a ceasefire agreement. I'm very confused. So that's why I posted, wait, so are you saying Doug Ford's plan to shut off electricity is bad? I'm going to like my own comment. I feel like I'm being gaslit by our new prime minister. It's his second day on the job, and already he's really rubbed me the wrong way. He has supported Doug Ford. Canadian politicians have actually supported Doug Ford in his stance on, or his threat of wanting to cut off power to America, 1.5 million homes. I have not heard a single Canadian politician, including anyone from the conservative side, saying that that's a little crazy. Maybe a surcharge, but not cutting off the power. So in the past couple of days, Doug Ford must have heard me screaming from the rooftop or something, or maybe somebody bonked him on the head with a truth stick. And he said, you know what? Now I'm going to do 25% surcharge on electricity to those 1.5 million homes. They're really going to feel the effect of the cost. And truth be told, they actually would be. Until Trump had said, if you put electricity surcharge on us, we're going to end you. So then Doug Ford immediately reversed his claim. And that's what we're taking a look at right now. So let's take a look at Doug Ford putting his tail between his legs like a dog. He went down like a dog. Here we go.
A little while ago, I had an opportunity to speak to Secretary Lutnick. And Secretary Lutnick has sent out an olive branch to us to come down and immediately meet with him, meet with the whole trade administration, and discuss the future. Rather than waiting till April the 2nd, threats going back and forth, tit for tat, I've agreed to suspend temporarily, and we always have that tool in our toolkit, until we sit down over the next day or two. I'll be heading down to Washington along with Dominic LeBlanc, and we'll have a good discussion. You know, with any negotiation that we have, there's a point that both parties are heated and the temperature needs to come down. And I thought this was the right decision. They understand how serious we are about the electricity and the tariffs, and rather than going back and forth and having threats to each other, we have both agreed, let cooler heads prevail. we need to sit down and move this forward. This is a massive, massive deal, the USMCA, which the federal government will be leading the charge. I'll be sitting down with all our premiers tomorrow as well and discussing this and their issues as well. So we're going to go down there and we're going to go down there with confidence. We're going to go down there with strength. And again, hopefully we can move this forward. I feel as a province, and I only speak for the province of Ontario, I want to reaffirm I do not speak for any other premiers.
Yeah, no shit, buddy.
Everyone's very patriotic, and we have the best premiers I've ever seen. But we're going to be talking about the USMCA moving forward. The worst thing that could happen is wait and let this drag out until April the 2nd. So we're going to move forward and have a very good conversation with Secretary Lutnick and the whole trade team, as he's...
Yeah, there's pussyfooting, and then there's just being an absolute gigantic pussy, and that's what Doug Ford is. Bro, you've been going around calling on the Ontario government to shut off the power to 1.4 million homes. You bragged about it. The fucking lunatic even said, and I'm going to do it with a smile on my face. Now, I'm sorry for swearing in this. I know it pisses off a lot of people sometimes when I do it, but I just can't help myself. I was attacked, bro. There were freaking death threats against me on Reddit because of this shit. So to CTV Vancouver, fuck you. To the reporter who did that slander piece on me, fuck you too. To that radical NDP nutjob that screamed my name, leave my name out your mouth in the House and Parliament and legislator. Fuck you too, you freaking lunatic. And to David Eby, the guy who looks like Woody, but his retarded cousin. Fuck you too, buddy. You people take everything out of context. Because I called Doug Ford a fat pig with rabies, you're going to start slandering me and say I'm a far-right extremist, blah, blah, blah. Now he's reversing course. It's what I was trying to say, and these people are just absolutely nuts. Oh my goodness. So here's what Trump has to say about it. It's a great idea. Good job, Canada. Like they're going to crush us. You kidding me? You can't cut off the power to another country like that.
Already Canada, and I respect very much. As you know, there's a very strong man in Canada who said he was going to charge a surcharge or a tariff on electricity coming into our country. He has called and he said he's not going to do that. Okay, he's not going to do that.
Very strong man.
And it would be a very bad thing if he did. And he's not going to do that, so I respect that. But we were just informed that he's not going to do that. Look, we've been treated very unfairly by Canada. We've been treated very unfairly by Mexico. But we've been treated very unfairly by every country all over the world. The European Union is horrible, horrible. And we're going to get it back. And I have a choice. I could just coast, and eventually there'd be a blow-up down the road, maybe a long way. But we owe $36 trillion, and we're going to get it back. We're the biggest, we're the best, and I'm very optimistic. I have to tell you, I'm very optimistic about the country. Much more optimistic this way than if I did it the easy way. Yeah. I could have done it the easy way. I could have coasted. Biden left us a mess. He left us tremendous inflation, tremendously high costs of products. He left us a mess, but he also left us a mess with millions of people that poured into our country that are criminals. Millions of those people happen to be criminals. And we're looking for them all over the place. We're looking for them. And Homan and Christie are doing an incredible job. But he left us a horrible situation, and we're changing it. But one of the things we're changing is we're going to make our country really wealthy again. We're going to bring our jobs back. Right now, we're like a chicken that's being plucked at from all over the world. We're not going to let that happen anymore.
I'm actually pretty surprised that Trump didn't lean into Ford a little bit more. Now, these are ongoing negotiations, and they're going to be renegotiating the fact that we even supply power to America to a very specific few amount of states and to a very particular 1.4, 1.5 million homes. Like, why is Canada doing, why not more? Why not less? Why at all? Why not a specific different region? Like, I don't know. I didn't make that trade deal. Some previous administration did, and that's what they're going to be reevaluating moving forward. But Canada has no business, man, No business making threats like we're going to cut off the power with a smile on my face to America. That's just disgusting behavior. They brag about we've been friends and we've been neighbors and we've gotten along and we're the longest existing trade partner. You're showing the world that you're a fake Canadian when you immediately laugh and you're willing to smile at hurting American civilians. Like that's not nice. Canada says sorry too much, and we say a boot, which is very confusing when you're standing at a dock at a marina looking at all the boots in the water. Look at the boot, look at the boot, look at the boot, right? What Doug Ford did is not a representation of Canadian values, and people that support the surcharge on electricity, sure, that's a trade war. I don't agree with it, but at least that's more legal, or that falls within the legal confines of a trade war. But I do not support, and I implore everybody who knows someone out there that thinks that it's a good idea to cut off electricity to another country like that. Our new prime minister already said that you're not allowed doing that. You can't do that, right? So why is that different between Gaza and America? At that point, it just becomes about optics. And so that's what's so freaking bizarre about this entire thing. But now let's take a look here at the White House press secretary who comments on Ontario, specifically Doug Ford.
Has not yet spoken to Mr. Carney, not since I checked, which was just moments ago. But certainly his phone is always open to leaders who wish to speak with him. As for the tariffs, the president made his position on this quite clear with the statement that he put out. And it was a retaliatory statement due to the escalation of rhetoric that we've seen out of Ontario, Canada. The president saw the premier, Doug Ford, make an egregious and insulting comment threatening to shut down electricity for the American people, for hardworking American families. He made that threat. The president saw that and has an obligation and a responsibility to respond accordingly and represent the interests of the American people. So he has made the decision to add a 25% tariff. So now steel and aluminum tariffs will come into effect tomorrow at the rate of 50%. And our steel and aluminum industries have actually applauded these tariffs because, again, they know it's going to grow their industry here. It's going to allow them to export more steel that is made right here in the United States with American workers.
Egregious and insulting are your words here, but that's what many Canadian leaders have said about the actions President Trump has taken toward Canada. And what do you think the timeline is for speaking to Mr. Carney? Because normally a sitting president speaks to a close ally very quickly when there's new leadership.
Well, the president is, again, responding to the fact that Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades. If you look at the rates of tariffs across the board that Canadians have been imposing on the American people and our workers here, it is egregious. In fact, I have a handy-dandy chart here that shows not just Canada, but the rate of tariffs across the board. If you look at Canada, since you brought it up, American cheese and butter, nearly 300% tariff. You look at India, 150% tariff on American alcohol. You think?
Yeah, I mean, all this information is coming up now, and it's very surprising to see how much we have put tariffs on America and how much we almost take advantage of them to a certain extent, right? It's pretty bizarre. And that's not me trying to defend America. All these trade deals were done by professionals, by leaders and stuff like that. And I guess they thought it was a good deal once upon a time. And all that's being ripped apart right now out in the public. All the dirty laundry is being aired for all of us to see. And it's just weird, man. It's super weird that we're seeing all of this unfold in real time. Like everything is going right to the 11th hour, right to the final hours when people are saying, we're going to do this. We're going to add 25% surcharge on electricity. And then all of a sudden he gets a phone call, Doug Ford. And he's like, gets in front of the cameras. I would just like to apologize. And I don't think that we should be doing this. Like it's just freaking bizarre, man. Let's take a look here at CTV's coverage of the events.
On the warpath today, punishing Canada with a punch and counterpunch. A riled up U.S. president out for blood, threatening to double Canadian steel and aluminum tariffs to 50% Wednesday morning. all in retaliation for Ontario's planned electricity surcharge. Now, the financial markets, fueled by this dramatic escalation, dropped down, and then Trump added if he doesn't like how Canada responds, he'll go after automobiles next. Well, late in the day, an olive branch extended by the U.S. Commerce Secretary to Ontario Premier Doug Ford, and then this from the U.S. President before he dropped that double threat.
As you know, there's a very strong man in Canada who said he was going to charge a...
Yeah, we already seen that part. It's pretty funny.
Now on the de-escalation after escalation. All right, Judy. So we're still looking at a 25% tariff increase at 12:01 a.m., right?
That's right, Sandy. So it appears that this is a global game of chicken, and Premier Doug Ford was the first to blink.
Yeah.
After Ontario's decision to roll out an electricity surcharge against the United States, President Donald Trump publicized his next move on social media. He would double tariffs on steel and aluminum to 50% and declare a...
You know how myself and other creators in this space have been saying for weeks now, we are not going to win a trade war with America. This is stupid to even try to entertain. It's going to backfire on every single Canadian politician that is advocating for this. You remember something along the lines, it's been included in almost every single video I've made in the past few weeks. Well, we're now finding out. We're at the find out stage. We've already fucked around and now we're finding out. And one politician, the most radical, conclusionary politician, Doug Ford, we're going to cut off their power with this smile on my face. Who says that? Who says that? That's freaking insane to say. He was the first to cave in. Not good. Next, after all this, you're going to see he's going to be pushing on the automotive. And then he's going to say, put our liquor back on your shelves right now, or we're going to have a problem. And you're going to start to see it, and they're going to put the liquor back on the shelves. We're now in the find out stage, and it's going to be a rude awakening. Rude awakening. Look, I get it. I get the Canadian patriotic stance. We need to fight back. We can't just let them roll over us. I get that. But we're not talking about Luxembourg or France or Italy. We're talking about the United States of America. They almost run the world, right? It's like Beyonce. Run the world, girls. Like, that's what's going on. And so we don't have real leverage on it. We don't really have anything that we can use to try and, we tried with the electricity. Look how that turned out, right? Immediate retraction. So this is just a big freaking waste of time.
A national emergency on electricity to allow the U.S. to act quickly against the abusive threat from Canada.
The president saw the premier, Doug Ford, make an egregious and insulting comment threatening to shut down electricity for the American people.
By no means are we just going to roll over, because we don't roll over to anyone. What we are going to do is have a constructive conversation.
After speaking with U.S. Commerce Secretary...
He just rolled over. Come on, man. It doesn't get funnier than that.
Secretary Howard Lutnick, Premier Doug Ford decided to pause the electricity surcharge 24 hours after implementing it.
Secretary Lutnick has sent out an olive branch to us to come down and immediately meet with him, meet with the whole trade administration, and discuss the future.
Canada's Prime Minister designate is vowing to stand firm on $30 billion worth of counter tariffs already in place. Mark Carney said they will stay there until Americans show us respect and make reliable commitments on free and fair trade, while Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre urged Canada to also put 50% duty on American steel and aluminum. Quebec is Canada's biggest exporter of aluminum. The leader of the bloc says
Pierre was the right guy at the right time against Trudeau. And now that this has evolved into trade wars and they've switched things over to Mark Carney, who's the professional banker, it's just a lose-lose. Look, I've been extremely pro-conservative, and I still am. I would like to see Pierre win. I would like to see him go the distance. But right now, the ball is in the Liberals' court. And whether there's an election right now in the next couple of weeks, I think that Mark Carney is potentially going to win. I hate to say it. I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Right. I don't care if you're saying the polls are fake. It's not even about that. It's this newfound patriotism around the tariffs and the trade war. It's just looking so much better for the Liberals because there's nothing Pierre can do. He could say, do more countermeasures. Right, do more. That's all he can say is whatever Carney's saying. Add more. Add 25% more. Right, that's all he can say. He can't go the other way. Unfortunately, he's already dug himself his path. He's already trailblazed himself down that path. Right, and so he can't just do a complete reversal. It'd be way too controversial. I think that. I think this is the tariffs and the trade war is unfortunately so much more beneficial for the Liberal Party and for Mark Carney specifically. I hate to say it, but everything is now collapsing. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Escalation exposes Trump's weakness.
It seems to me to be the proof of his failure. If he believed that 25% were hard enough on us to have us bend the knee, he would be satisfied with that.
Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc and Premier Doug Ford will travel to Washington on Thursday to meet with White House officials. Sandy, the tone is more conciliatory given the fact that on the horizon are April 2nd retaliatory or reciprocal tariffs that could still be put in place.
What a roller coaster ride. Okay, Judy, thank you.
So that's the next date, April 2nd then, right? It's just such a teeter-totter of emotions. And every day, it's not even about the polls. Forget the polls, right? Because people think they're fake. Just forget the polls. It's the press coverage, the mainstream media coverage, the patriotism, the newfound patriotism of putting stickers on all our food, all our liquor that say proudly Canadian. Like, this is the Liberals that are getting the credit for this newfound patriotism, reclaiming the flag from the convoy folk. Like, this is a massive movement that's happening, and there's nothing that we can do to stop it. No YouTube video is going to change the direction that this is going. This is because of Trump. Trump is literally almost handing the election to the Liberals. I don't think that this is at all beneficial for Pierre Poilievre. The only thing that would be beneficial again for Pierre is if they get back into the House of Commons and start debating and get back to doing that business. But even then, Jagmeet has said openly that he's prioritizing a tariff relief package or response to this trade war and those that are most affected by the trade war and the tariffs, especially steel and aluminum workers. And so that's going to take precedent and priority over him calling a vote of non-confidence. He's literally said those words. So whether there's an election soon in the next couple of weeks it gets called, or whether it's an election later on, as long as there's still ongoing trade wars and tariffs being discussed and it's still in effect, I think that it's looking better for Carney than anyone else. And I hate to say it. It pains me. I'm probably going to lose subscribers, but that's just the truth. And I'm sorry if people have a hard time accepting that truth. You want confirmation bias? Pierre's going to win? Sure. There you go. Sweeping majority for Pierre. There you go. That's the video, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in another one. Bye for now.